Welcome to Salcedo Paranormal. It is Friday, February 11th, 2022. And tonight I'll be talking about haunted sports and music venues. And I've got a couple articles here I'll go through, a few of them here. And see how much we get through. If I don't get through all of them, then I'll just be for another time. So that's the way I usually do that. As always, to listen to the podcast on the podcast feed or on links to social media, ways to donate, and other ways to contact me, you can find all of that at the podcast page. Oops. Okay, there we go. Which is salcedoparanormal.podbean.com. Helps if I have the microphone closer to me, I guess. So there we go. Always looking for comments or questions on episodes, as well as topic suggestions, and stories of your experiences or others that you trust. Any experiences with the paranormal, and happy to share them on the show if I can. I don't have to share any names. That's not a problem, or specific locations. And of course, you can share those as just text files. Or if you want to, you can actually come onto the show. If you can get onto Discord, which is not too terribly hard overall. Or, and then I will talk with you on the show. I did my first, one of those guest interviews, for that, basically guest, experience or interviews, I guess. Those earlier this week with APOC, and that was really so. But everyone is welcome to join me here. So, I believe that covers it. And there in the chat, thank you for being here, Cal. And yeah, after this or another side to this, I'll be doing it religious sites. That's a whole other thing. I haven't looked into that a ton yet, but I figure this is a good place to start. I was kind of looking for something fairly easy to research for this Friday, and I had already done some research on it before for other shows, so this worked. So this first article, and I forgot to link them in the chat, but I'll do that now, is all about, let's see here. It is 11 music venues that are reportedly haunted. And so I'll go into those now. So this article starts off talking about basically asking if people believe in the paranormal. And it says that staff members from these places on this list do because of their own experiences. So here we go. We'll go to the first one. Let's see here. Okay, all right. So that mentions, let's see here. Mentions Bobby Mackeys in Kentucky, which is reportedly haunted. Just in the intro here. That's a whole other subject you may have to do. May have to do a episode just on that at some point. So let's see here. And just also as always with these articles, they have pictures. So if you ever want to look into this more, definitely I would recommend checking out these articles that I use, because there are some pretty interesting pictures of the places that I talk about in these shows, which of course it's an audio podcast, so can't show you the pictures. So, but this first place is called Royal Albert Hall, and it's in London, in the UK. It's one of the world's most famous venues. Says a group called the Spiritual Association went there in 1930 to attempt to contact the spirit of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who was the author of the Sherlock Holmes stories. The event was attended by. So there are 10,000 people there. That doesn't seem very. I don't know. That's an interesting way to do any kind of a spirit communication. That's a lot of people. But apparently they had brought Doyle's wife, and basically, after that, so basically that was this big event, and apparently after that is when activity started to happen there, I guess. Starting with two spirits of Victorian women, basically going through the corridors in the. Oh, interesting. So there's these corridors that go under, around, and under this hall that go off in different directions into London, and these spirits are heard, I guess, laughing as they move through these halls under this concert venue. That's an interesting one, because it almost goes into that's more of like a haunted city kind of thing, even in a way. So, but so this next one is called Masquerade, and it's in Atlanta, Georgia. It says a lot of stories have been told about this place, and it's apparently the most common story is of a tall man walking around the club and turning the amps on. Interesting. Manipulating electronics. So they're also hear footsteps, and then they experience cold spots. Even a blood-curdling scream from a woman who apparently was not there. The staff at this place believe that the screams come from a woman who died in an accident at the club. And that's where that one ends. Okay, now speaking of Bobby Mackeys, that's the next one they mention here. So yeah. Oh yeah, Cal, that place looks haunted. The juice that way. Yeah. If do you mean the Royal Albert Hall? That place, or even just the picture in this? Yeah, this picture in this that they used for the article, even without the corny ghost image that they have over the front of it. Picture. Okay, yeah. It's definitely some interesting architecture. But yeah, I could see that being haunted. Yeah, and especially, can you imagine with all the lights off? That has to be quite the scene too. So, thanks. Yeah, see, I'd be okay, but yeah, it's just that's just me. But okay, so we'll go back to this article here. I just like talking with the chat when I can. Some of the book review episodes and that kind of thing are harder to do that, but Anyway, so let's see here. This next one, like I said, it's gonna be Bobby Mackeys. Ads. Gotta love the ads. Let's see here. Okay, there we go. Found the spot. Sorry about that. So Bobby Mackeys is. There's a lot of legends about that place, basically. And this place I've kind of heard a lot about over the years. It's been covered, I believe, in just about all the major paranormal shows at this point. And so this place supposedly holds a portal to hell. Although, of course, it's always one of those things you never know. It's hard to prove. I do think with when these places become so popular or too popular, and especially with the TV shows, you have to be careful buying into everything that is said about the place. One former caretaker had an exorcism performed on himself in the club, so that's some serious energy being released or shifted or whatever. And of course, it mentions that Bobby Mackey doesn't believe in the paranormal, but his wife does. And her claim is that she was pushed down the basement stairs by an invisible force and told, basically, there was a voice that screamed, "Get out." So there's a lot more details to the legends of that place, but it seems like the experiences from what I've heard center around the wife and then the caretaker, and then people that go in there, which as I've said before, that that there's so many people that have been going there since they heard it was haunted. Even if it wasn't maybe before, it could be now. All the energy being poured into that place and people trying to have experiences, which I'm always interested in having experiences, but you just have to be careful. But hello, Matt. Yeah, Bobby Mackey's. That's one place I am too scared to go. I don't know that I'm scared to go. I guess I wouldn't mind checking it out and then seeing what kind of feelings I get. If I get any negative feelings, then yeah, I'd be probably wouldn't go very far into the place. But I just, like I said, all these TV shows, you have to be careful with all that. Believing everything that you see on those shows. So, and then just you just have to be careful, like I said. But anyway, so that's all they mention of that one. This one they talk about is called The Rave, Rave. It's in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And it's apparently haunted by a little girl who drowned in a swimming pool there. Again, that's the sad part about the paranormal in some cases, these tragic stories. But apparently this little girl is seen there, at least believed to be haunting the place. Others say a former employee named Jack haunts the place as well. Supposedly he was caught on film telling a group of ghost hunters to get out. And that's something that you hear in some of these places. And something that doesn't always mean it's something evil. It's just, if you think about it, if you're staying in a place and you have all these people showing up, and depending on how they're acting towards you, I can understand sometimes them getting voices telling them to get out. So, but that's interesting. So let's see here. These are kind of short descriptions, but still interesting. Even one or two little bits about each place like this, it's still interesting to hear, and you can kind of imagine more stuff going on. But This next one is Avalon, Avalon, in Hollywood, California. It's nearly 100 years old. It maybe past that now. And it says that it's a theater. Apparently, there's a spirit, a male spirit, just in a tuxedo that's seen there. And women in, I'm guessing, dresses and high heels. A piano player whose music is still heard today. And then it says several other ghosts, which is interesting. There's a legend that says that one of the male spirits that's there was dumped one night by his dancer girlfriend, leading to the man to jump from the catwalk. Wow! While the girlfriend was former girlfriend was performing, landing right in front of her. Of course, that's a legend, so that's quite the story. But let's see here. So that's it for that one. Some of these are theaters, which I know we covered in earlier episodes, but it's still interesting to check them out because some theaters are used for music. And if you think about that, there's a lot of energy that goes into any kind of performing, I think. And then also, obviously, in the case of music, that's even more energy in a way, possibly because you're putting out more sound, more vibrations. So let's see here. So the next one is the Roseland Theater in Portland, Oregon. And it's listed as the #1 haunted place in Portland by a website, portlandghosts.com. It was apparently a nightclub before it became this theater. And it was a haven for criminal activity. And the place was apparently called the Starry Nights Club. Apparently, the owner was convicted of murdering one of his employees. And according to legend, the angry spirit is still haunts this theater. So that's it for that one. This next one here is called the House of Blues in Chicago, Illinois. This one, again, seems to be haunted by, there's a spirit of a little girl there. Apparently, there's a story that a little boy that was there, a living boy, saw her playing with his toys. She even turned to the boy and asked if he'd play with her. But, of course, he was scared because he was basically seeing a ghost, and then she vanished. So, that's an interesting little story there. Of course, with kids, they can definitely be more sensitive to things. Although it's interesting that she was actually playing with the toys. So, sorry about that. Whenever you hear that noise, it's my heater. I'd love to just keep it off, but I live in Michigan, so that's not going to work so well. This next one is the chapel in San Francisco, California. Was once a mortuary. So there's a lot of stories about places like that being haunted. Anything that involves basically handling the deceased, preparing them and all that. You hear that a lot of stories. Apparently the basement is the hot spot for paranormal activity. Even though I'm guessing if it was that kind of place, then there could be activity all over. It says here in the article, one of the security cameras caught an alleged ghost, a little girl again, in a white dress and no shoes on film. So, that's an interesting one. Just the whole connection. Okay, so this one is the Orpheum Theatre in Vancouver, BC, Canada. That name has been used a lot, the Orpheum or Orpheum Theatre or Orpheum Auditorium has been used in several places. It's one of the downsides of looking into this stuff sometimes when you want to find a specific location and you just do a search for them online. You'll find the Orpheum in this case, Vancouver, but there's one I think in like North Carolina, and I think one in one or two other states as well. I've noticed that while trying to do research for different things, and yeah, it's just anyway, just a look behind the curtain there. Anyway, this one is in Vancouver, like I said. And it was apparently has a history with vaudeville, which is an earlier kind of theater. Apparently, there was an accident where this one performer fell to his death in the early 1900s, and his spirit is said to haunt the stage to this day. Others say that there's a former attendant that stays in the men's restroom in the basement. So doesn't really say who it is or give any other details, but sounds like there could be multiple spirits there as well, possibly. The next one here is the Rapids Theater in Niagara Falls, New York. And as I mentioned here, a lot of these places are featured on shows, TV shows. And apparently this led to a lot of other paranormal investigators looking into the place. Again, going back to that idea of even if there wasn't a lot of activity before, if you start getting enough people in there, it might create more later. Apparently the building is over 100 years old. And apparently people hear doors opening and closing, footsteps, mysterious whistling, and keys jingling. Those are the reports anyway there. So that's kind of a lot of little things here and there. So, but, and let me see here. That's it for that one. Okay. Let me see here. Alright. It looks like... Yeah, looks like that's it for this article. It starts going... That's weird. It's almost like it starts going into another article here about something else. But, so I guess that'll do it for that article. Starts talking about music in general, but that's not really what, not what we're here for in this case. So I've got two other articles here. And, these are more about haunted sports venues. So we'll go into those. Those on the webpage, or on the webpage. I'll share those here in the links. Hopefully you all can still hear me. I think I may have bumped my volume control, but we'll see. Some water real quick. as I share this. And this says, excuse me, 7 of the most haunted venues in sports. And so I'll go into this one here. Okay. So let me get through all this here. Okay. So this one mentions, like a lot of these articles, they mention they basically pop up because of Halloween in any given year. So this first one they mention is Camp Randall Stadium in Madison, Wisconsin. Sorry for the delay. I was dealing with a cough and congestion there. That was fun. Anyway, so it says, apparently it served as a barracks and training ground. I'm guessing before the stadium or the actual building today is there, but there was a barracks and training ground for Union soldiers during the Civil War. The place was named after the state's governor, Alexander Randall. And so after, let's see here. Okay, so after a victory in April of 1862, it had to take in more than 1,000 Confederate soldiers, I guess as prisoners. And the place was not ready for that many people at once. So the reports are that viruses and illnesses spread through the camp. And so it says that all the after like in a month or two after that, the remaining prisoners were moved away due to the conditions there. And but apparently over around 140 men is what they mention here in this article passed away in this site during the camp's brief time as a prison, and they were buried nearby. So and apparently the spirits of these people have seen, they've been seen by other people that come there even more recently. So these Confederate soldiers are seen there, and apparently he's the head of this according to this one story here about a nearby factory. This head of the security at this factory told him that people were seeing. I'm messing this all up. So the head of security had other workers come in and tell him that they saw a Confederate soldier walk through a room in the factory. But then when the other security staff chased after this figure, it disappeared. So apparently this is even throughout the surrounding areas. So apparently tailgaters have described seeing spirits around the place before games. Usually these spirits of these soldiers are seen in various states, including their uniforms, but also they're seen various slings and bandages, wandering in and out of the stadium, apparently unaware of the people today that go in and out of the stadium. So I wonder if that's almost like a residual thing or a time distortion of some kind. So, so the people there think that it is more of a residual or just sightings of these things, but there's nothing actually. No one actually. The spirits aren't conscious. It's not really even spirits necessarily. It's more just seeing the energy of the past, or maybe even possibly seeing into the past. And so let me see here. The stadium, apparently, like I said, it's just seen. These spirits are seen all around the area. So let me see. And there are still remains found. Apparently, there have been remains found near the area, even leading into modern times, when people do construction in different areas around the stadium. So when it talks about another story here, apparently they let me see here. I'm not reading the story here. So yeah, people are seeing these spirits, and apparently people are even seeing. Apparently, apparitions of just heads are seen, floating around. I guess that's interesting. Okay, so they're connecting these sightings of these basically just the top, just the head of a person. The sightings of these are connected to partial remains of two men that had been buried nearby and then found years later. But the person that saw these heads was not even from the U.S. and the people she was with didn't even. So she didn't even know that about any of this. So that's interesting. We may have to split this up into another episode at some point here. We have to do a series on this because it's already getting pretty late here. But I'll do at least one more. Let's see here. And then maybe we'll just continue this next Friday. We could do that. In fact, I think we're going to do that. I know I just started this article, but there's a lot to read through. So I linked it in the chat, and I'll share the link in the episode description. And we'll just get back to this next Friday. We'll make this a little series of about haunted concert and sports venues. Maybe, for the next couple of Fridays. Might do it that way. So thank you all for being here. And as always, I appreciate you listening, whether you're listening to the podcast feed or the YouTube video or the live stream. And on Monday, I'll be sharing more true paranormal stories from the web. And we'll go from there. I know I announced this here in the Discord, but I'm going to have to hold off on the call-in shows for now until some issues are worked out with the recording software that I use. But we will get to those as soon as we can as well. So, but thank you all again for listening. Have a good weekend. And I'll talk to you on Monday on the next episode of Salcedo Paranormal.